Penguin Random House Audio presents The Wedding Night by Harriet Walker. Read for you by Sofia Zervudachi. At the still point of the turning world, there the dance is, where past and future are gathered. From Burnt Norton, T.S. Eliot. Cast of characters: the bride, Lizzie; the groom, Dan; Ben, Dan's best man; the bridal party, Effie and Anna, Lizzie's best women; Steve, Charlie, Izzo, Bertie. The week before. From Lizzie and Dan. Dan and Lizzie get married at gmail.com. To Effie Talbot, Anna and Steve Watson, Ben Hollyoak, Charlie Bishop, AJBR86 at hotmail.com. Subject: some news. Hi guys. There's no easy way to say this, but the two of us have come to a decision that we think is best for us both. We won't be getting married next week. Or ever, in fact. We're so sorry. We know you all have your flights booked, but hopefully you can appreciate we haven't taken this step lightly. We'll be in touch with you all soon. For now, we need a bit of space. Love, Lizzie and Dan. 1. Effie. Effie read the email again and looked down at her fingertips on the computer keyboard in front of her. They were pale and chewed, nails as red-rimmed as her eyes. Un-fucking-believable. She had been looking forward to that holiday for months. When Lizzie, happy, carefree, in love with love Lizzie, lit from within by the sort of glow that comes only from the joy of somebody having weighed you in the balance and decided that, yes, they would like to spend the rest of their existence by your side, had first mentioned her plan to get married abroad, Effie had made all the right, impressed, positive noises. In fact, she had never seen the point of marrying in another country, neither of you were from, when your own had more than enough venues, and your guests all lived in it. Lizzie even came from the sort of commuter belt family for whom home is a village with a Norman church tucked away for the precise purpose of rendering its prodigal city worker daughters Elizabeth Bennet for a day. Supposing the couple didn't fancy that option, there were plenty of municipal buildings near where they lived in London to choose from. Proud borough town halls, built in civic red brick, that would appear nice enough in the background of the photos, as long as you positioned someone in front of the fire escape signs. Deliberately derelict warehouses and deconsecrated chapels gone just enough to rack and ruin to look good on Instagram, but not to pose any real health and safety risks, beyond an enduring chill that storage heaters would never quite take the edge off. Wood-panelled rooms upstairs in pubs, where the groomsmen could nip down to catch the football highlights between the speeches. Or conference suites in five-star hotels that rich tourists paid to stay in, and Londoners only ever went to on somebody else's money, full of regimented chairs with covers that slipped over them to guard against the worst of the stains. Were the covers, Effie wondered, lined with something waterproof? Otherwise, what was the point in providing two different layers of fabric for the inevitable nuptial spillages of red wine, gravy, and stomach acid to soak into? Effie noted that nobody who got married abroad ever seemed to do it in a climate colder than their own. It was always in a château, a trulot, or a vineyard located in some hot-blooded country, in the hope that the terroir would imbue the pallid Celts who booked them with the same body and top notes, zest even, it did the grapes it nurtured. No, when the time came, Effie had always presumed she would do what most people seem to. Book a registry office, where tidy men and women in bank managers' suits presided over efficient, non-Latinate words exchanged between couples who filed in and out on the hour, like cuckoos from a clock. Of course, for this to be any sort of viable option, Effie needed somebody who was interested in marrying her. She closed her eyes at the thought, briefly, but for a beat longer than a blink, in case she started crying at her desk. Again. She had managed not to for a whole month now. It was a record she didn't want to break. Especially not now that things might finally be looking up again. Despite Effie's initial misgivings, her best friend's obvious and utter delight had been enough to sell Effie on the idea of a wedding abroad, eventually. Over the months, she'd come to see the wedding as the least important part of the holiday anyway. Not that she'd let that on to Lizzie, of course. The rest of the week Effie intended to spend nursing her poor battered soul and steam-rollered self-esteem on a sun lounger, trying to discover who she might be able to become when she arrived home again, hopefully less lonely, and unlocked the door to her flat, where nothing would have moved while she was away, and nobody would be waiting for her. 6 months to the day, it'd be, by the time her plane touched down at Heathrow. Almost half a year of desolate pain, bleak, pointless anger, and regrets. This Provençal break was going to be a coda, she had decided. After it, she would have turned a corner. No more craziness. No more blurriness. No more drinking the pain away as evening turned to night and night to dawn, then waking up a few hours later with a sense that the sky was falling in. Already, these past few weeks, Effie had begun to feel less doom-laden. Upbeat, even. Excited. She had hoped the wedding might have been the moment to share with her friends the reason why. Effie knew she was reacting selfishly as she read the email over again and took in the quiet, dignified hurt contained in its wording. Her own indignation and disappointment lessened in the face of Lizzie's anguish. Effie had suspected that her best friend of a decade was having some niggles about marrying the man she had been with for the past 18 months. Quiet, sensible Dan had been a port in a storm after Lizzie's last long-term boyfriend, who had been yacht mad and permanently on some kind of far-flung gap year, with whom she had literally broken up while at sea. But what if, Effie had worried, Dan was too quiet, too sensible? Effie had wondered if her friend was trying to breeze through her doubts by organizing the wedding at breakneck speed and with her usual enthusiasm, but she also knew that Lizzie's gusto could be a tiresome force at times. Hadn't Effie gladly borne the brunt of it for years? The elaborate homemade brunches, the adventure holidays Lizzie insisted her two best friends go on, the theatre trips, the countless book clubs she had tried to corral them into. Effie loved Lizzie's organisational streak, but thank goodness she didn't have to live with it anymore. Lizzie had told her that Dan had said they didn't really need a big wedding, unless it was what she wanted. But she hadn't let on that it was a serious enough issue to bring things to a head. Effie supposed that once you were engaged, had agreed to be on the same team, you were no longer able to moan to your friends about your partner's shortcomings. That sort of whinging suddenly became disloyal once you both plighted your troth.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?